Ruslan.
The new movie released by Angel Studios called The Sound of Freedom has mainstream media losing their mind. All right. And it's starting to be packaged with some other, I don't want to say the word or the letter, but you know what I'm talking about, right? They're saying that it's adjacent to LMNOPQ conspiracies. All right. And we're going to get to the bottom of this. And I'm going to play you guys a clip by the person who the movie's based on responding to this stuff head on in just a moment. But first, let's just look at these amazing headlines. This is, yuck. This is Rolling Stone. Sound of Freedom is a superhero movie for dads with brain worms. All right. This is in stark contrast towards their coverage of the Cuties movie. All right, and let's see what CNN had to say about this. You got that pulled up?
This is Washington Post?
Washington Post. Sound of Freedom, the low-budget film about, I can't say that word, almost topped the box office on 4th of July, but its star, Jim Caviezel, has linked to the, the letter I can't say on stream, movement. All right, and this is good old CNN doing what CNN does well. All right, play this.
And you seem pretty familiar with him because he doesn't really hide his association with this real wild plot that involves, drinking, things like that.
No, he doesn't hide it at all. And you have a lot of people who are in this world of QAnon who say, oh, they're just asking questions. With somebody like Jim Caviezel, he is openly embracing it. He's openly using its catchphrases and its concepts. He's speaking at QAnon conventions. And this film is being marketed to either specific QAnon believers or to people who believe all of the same tenets as QAnon, but claim they don't know what it is.
And The Sound of Freedom does focus on a real issue of sex trafficking. But that theme, it's sort of like that kernel of truth that feeds the QAnon conspiracy theory. Tell us how those two things work together.
Sure. And the most durable and the most believable conspiracy theories are not entirely false. There's something.
Hold on. You don't say. You don't say, bud.
Stating the obvious.
Holy moly. Wow.
TV's just like brain dead media.
This is nuts. Someone's paying him to do this. This man's making a living doing this.
That's amazing.
Way to state the obvious.
Thing in them that is true and the rest of it is false, but the believers point to the one true thing and they say, oh, you don't believe that this particular thing is true. In terms of child trafficking, we know trafficking is real. We know it has real.
You don't say. You don't say. We know it's real, but how real is it?
It's not that big of an issue.
Is it that big of an issue?
Like, should we really be making
Should we really be concerned about the kids? Go ahead.
Victims. No one is denying that. But these films are created out of moral panics. They're created out of bogus statistics.
Hold on. This can't be CNN lecturing us about moral panic.
Oh my God.
CNN
sickness of the highest order.
CNN is lecturing the media about moral panic.
This is just virtue signaling media, which is absolutely cringe, and we would never condone anything like that.
Guys, you should be morally panicked if this stuff is real, which by all measurable accounts and all the organizations, they're saying that this stuff is real, that this is between 2 to 6 million little ones that are in this ecosystem. I can't say the word, all right? You already got a video demonetized yesterday, all right? This is why you should partner with us on Patreon. Keep us independent so we can keep these things unedited for that community there. But yeah, so of course it's an issue. Of course it's an issue. To say it's not an issue, you would be disingenuous. But why? The question is, what kind of person comes out against a movie pointing out things that are obviously true? What kind of company comes out railing against things that we know are true? I know people personally that have gone to Thailand and rescued little ones, like our women's pastor, Julie Sheckard,
Yo.
has went there and rescued little ones personally. And how do you then deal with the people that were selling them? And how do you deal with the parents? And how do you deal? Like, so of course this is an issue. Wow. Of course this is an issue, right? Now we're going to get into some of the particulars and the accusations being hurled of the letter adjacent claims. I can't say the letter, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Let's keep going with this clip.
They're created out of fear, and with something like Sound of Freedom, it specifically is looking at QAnon concepts of these child trafficking rings that are run by the high-level elites, and only people like Tim Ballard and only people like Jim Caviezel, and by extension, only people like the ticket buyer can help bring these trafficking rings down. So there's a very participatory element. You're not just going to see a movie, you're just killing 2 hours on a hot day. You are helping.
Because that's what they want you to do. They want you to just go watch a movie brainlessly and not be looped in to
Watch
what's
Cuties
happening.
again.
Which, by the way, I've been connected to different nonprofit organizations about this topic. Everyone from Not for Sale, they used to be a massive nonprofit organization in this world, to most recently Exodus Cry, working to get people out of this life.
Yeah.
Right. So this has been an issue. Anyone that's halfway aware of what's happening, this knows this has been an issue, right? Now, what the CNN and all these people are trying to do, what they're trying to do is they're trying to poison the well. They're trying to poison the well. They're saying because these people have specific views that are adjacent with this letter, that therefore the entire well is poisoned and you can't trust anything that's coming from this thing because it's really just meat, red meat to the mob, right? And it's creating moral outrage, moral panic. But that it's a fallacy in poisoning the well, right? And now I don't know all of Jim Caviezel's views. I don't know what conferences he's been at. I don't know specific things. I tried to do some research and figuring out what's the specific things that he has said. But it seems like the person who this movie is based on had one specific thing that they point to with regards to this. And we're going to look at a clip of him addressing all of this in a moment. But let's play the rest of this clip.
Down these pedophile rings and save children. Now, it's not true, but it's a very comforting and it's a very warm feeling.
How is it not true when it's documented that it's happening?
Just a true story.
It's a true story.
There's literally people like,
Yeah, like there was a whole island. There was an island.
That's documented.
That happened.
The only thing that we don't know about that situation is who the people were that were there. But we know that there was a billionaire there.
We know there's some people.
We know there's some people there, but
We can't say their name.
we can't say that. We don't know for sure. We didn't get the list.
We know some people flew on that jet. So there was a whole island, and then there was.
But it's clearly not true.
But then there was someone that got that's self-deleted themselves, which they came out with, by the way, and said that there was a violation of policy for him to even be allowed to allegedly self-delete himself.
Oh, like Kim Jong-un. He made it illegal?
Oh, he did make that legal. All right, go ahead. So here is Jim Caviezel and Tim Ballard. Tim Ballard is who this movie is based on. He did a long interview with Jordan Peterson. You guys really should go watch the full thing. It's a great interview. But here, Jordan Peterson starts this conversation off diving right into these allegations of the stuff that he believes. And it comes down to one specific issue that he deals with head on. And the way he explains it, I think, is perfectly reasonable and something that gets perpetrated amongst this letter of people, which, by the way, I'm no fan of. If you guys really pay attention to me, y'all know I think there's so many obvious things that are happening in the world, like this one being one of them, like gross old men and whoever that's like into this sort of like this is real stuff, right? That I am not a fan of. Like, I just did a whole video talking about how goofy the flat earthers are. I've done multiple videos about it. I'm not a part or adjacent or affirming of that letter of world. But there is one thing that they say that he seemingly aligns, which is this adrenal value from the fluids of little ones. I'm trying to speak in code.
Whoa.
Okay, have you heard of this stuff?
No.
The thing is, they believe that the elite like these fluids from these little ones to stay young.
Whoa.
So what he said, and they try to backdoor him into co-signing this stuff, is not that. but they kind of packaged it as that. So play this clip.
Tom Ballard was criticized for refusing to condemn the QAnon conspiracy theory. I have no idea what the hell that means. Do you know what that's referring to?
Yeah, absolutely. We that's a lie in Wikipedia. We have absolutely in our FAQs for years have condemned the majority of what we see with conspiracy theories. So they like to attribute me to the QAnon movement. There may be some truths in there, but there's so many falsehoods on top of that. So our FAQs refute that immediately because it discredits the movement. In fact, I would go so far as to consider that maybe certain people who don't want this known are responsible for some of the conspiracy theories in order to discredit the movement.
Pause it. Now that right there, son.
That slaps.
That right there.
Now we're talking.
If the whole movement is really other people pulling up to spread wild misinformation, why? So that the true things that are right in front of you never get talked about. And I've talked about these true things, the student loan crisis, federally insured student loans right in front of you. Sugar being put into all your foods right in front of you. High fructose corn syrup being subsidized by the government right in front of you. These kids, these little ones being moved around across countries right in front of you. This stuff is right in front of you. You don't need lizard people. You don't need a cabal. Human hearts are sick and wicked. When people have the opportunity to exploit other people, they will do so. So that's always been my position. But this take right here, the fact that the letter people is really falsely connected to what do they call covert agents?
Oh yeah,
trying to sow disinformation. Now that's a plot twist.
But yeah, we absolutely have disavowed what's generally coming out of QAnon.
Yeah, well, it says, it's very vague on Wikipedia. It says to condemn the QAnon conspiracy theory. Well, I know perfectly well that there are more than one conspiracy theories, let's say, on QAnon, so I'm not even exactly sure what it's referring to. What is there a particular conspiracy theory that you were criticized for refusing to condemn? Do you have any more specific details about that?
This is the one that it all comes back. All roads lead to Rome with this specific theory that when I ask people on Twitter, when I ask people on threads, it all goes back to this and some conferences that Jim appeared at. That's what it all goes back to. And here it is right here.
I mean, I'm not sure what exactly they're talking about. They might be referring to the fact that there's something called adrenochrome where they're taking children's blood and devouring it and so forth. And I've explained my experience with that, and I just did in West Africa and other places. We've seen this in several parts of the continent of Africa, and it's very real. It's very real. This witch doctory. They take these children. They take their organs. They take their blood. They drink it. They take the genitalia of children and hang it over the rooftop of their businesses, thinking that the dark gods will bless them. These are real things. And so I might say something like that.
Just let it rock.
And then they connect it to something that a QAnon person says about, a celebrity who must be doing this too, but there's no evidence to back that. And they make a false connection there. And so that's the only example I can think of.
Okay, got it. Well, the next thing.
Okay.
Pearson's like, okay, oh my gosh, I did not want that. Daily Wire, they needed the monetization for this video, so we're gonna move on.
Yeah. So he addresses a couple other ones, but that is the two that come up. Now, here's the thing. One, this is mainstream media poisoning the well. Two, you can't just, this is such a goofy notion that even if Jim Caviezel pulled up to some sus conferences and spoke at some sus things and even believed some sus things, that discards everything about this movie.
Exactly.
Three, we know there's documentation of little ones that are experiencing this. We know that this is a thing. This isn't a thing. This is supposedly all based on true stories. This dude worked for Homeland Security, right? Like this is this dude's life. Now, I know other people that work with human, traveling across borderlines.
Okay.
Victor Marx does this sort of work in the Middle East, right? So I know multiple people that do this sort of stuff. So to try and minimize this is so bizarre. Interestingly enough, this movie was initially produced by Fox. It was shot and done in 2018. And then when Disney acquired Fox, they didn't want the movie to come out. And so that's when Angel Studios swooped in and picked it up just recently.
And they bought it?
And they bought it and they put it out, right?
That's
Which
gangsta.
it's interesting that Angel Studios is swooping in and buying stuff.
That's an acquisition move right
It's an
there.
acquisition move, Daily Wire potentially. So they're saying allegedly that Disney didn't want this to come out, which is allegedly, I don't know. Okay, I didn't go that far down a rabbit hole. But the fact that this was done way before that letter of people who are on the internet talking about cabals was ever a thing. Like they weren't booming when
That's
this
a
was
fact.
shot.
That's a
You know what I
fact.
mean? So it's this is what this does.
It's
This
like,
is-
ew, this movie is pointing back to this one thing. Like,
Right.
this one thing wasn't even here when we shot the
This
dag
wasn't
movie.
even mainstream. This wasn't like, you know what I mean? Because that stuff really hit the fan after, you know, the Trumpster made it into, you know, the White House. So all of this is super interesting. Now, here's what this does. For a guy like me, I wasn't planning on going to see this movie. Had zero desire to go see a movie about little ones being moved around.
Yeah, I'm good.
Right?
I don't need to educate myself.
I don't need to educate myself. I know this, but you know what this does? I'm gonna go buy some movie tickets for this.
Yeah.
I might even go and see it. Just as a sheer response to the media hysteria, I'm the guy that goes, oh, you guys are hysterical. There must be something true over here.
Yeah.
Like, oh, y'all mad? Y'all big mad. There got to be something real going on over here. That's how this looks. And they don't understand that in your hysteria about it, you're just driving people to see it.
Yeah.
It's like the inverse of satanic panic marketing. It's the total inverse of it. It's now people are revved up and like, oh, we want to support this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'll be completely honest with you guys. I have no desire to see this, but I'm finna buy a couple tickets. I'm finna buy a couple tickets just strictly to stick it to the people who are doing this sort of stuff, because you can't conflate everything you don't like or every view that someone has and just dismiss them as this loony, the letter guy. Like, you can't do that. You look crazy doing this, especially when it's about little ones. And again, if we look at, and we can verify these numbers, 2 million at least that are in this industry internationally. And who knows how many of them are being moved around in America. But when the definition changed of iceberg slim-ism, y'all know what I'm talking about. I can't say the P word, but y'all know what I'm talking about. When that definition changed, and it wasn't just about the ism and iceberg slim and, you know what I mean? But it became more like what, you know, the Tate brothers are allegedly accused of doing. That changed a lot. So there's some discretion about how many people are actually being moved around in America. And is it 15,000 or 300,000? The fact that you don't see that this could be a thing. You don't see that there could be bizarre, weirdo dudes that are into this. You don't think there are people that exist that have this and think that this is their quote unquote orientation. Like, you don't think this is a reality for people? By the way, and there doesn't need to be some underworld of rituals and all that weirdo stuff. That doesn't even need to be a thing for this to be an issue. They could just be weird, perverted dudes on the internet that are into this sort of thing. And that enough should cause moral panic. Patrick B. had a good take. He said, this is the one thing we should be intolerant of. It is the one thing we should be intolerant of. Right? And I was like, man, that's good. So I am now going to support this movie. Had no desire to support this movie. So all of it backfired. Right? All of it backfired. And of course, there's women that are in on this and parents, bro. Could you imagine being a parent? And when Julie Sheckard told me about her story going to Thailand, she talked about them having to negotiate with the parent who is selling their own.
Like,
The desperation. You know what I mean? The desperation, the sometimes it's the desperation, sometimes it's the finesse. This stuff is real, man. And there's a lot of dark, sinister, far gone people out there that I just don't think most of us are in tune with how dark the world is. Like, everybody thinks that you need some one world cabal to pull the strings. No. The human heart is wicked, people. None are righteous, not one. Right? That, like, Ephesians chapter 2, we are all children of wrath. Like, yo, humans are sick, especially if they allow their conscience to be sheared by 1,000 little micro decisions, right? Little micro things. And so I think that this stuff is super duper prevalent. And I think backdooring all this other stuff is goofy. You know, and my buddy Mowgli the Iceberg from Indie Tribe, he made this really good point. He said the left acts like this doesn't exist. Check this out. In the same way that the right tried to act like police brutality didn't exist. The same exact paradigm.
Wow, that's
right?
crazy.
Like we just go, I know what I saw, but like, what did he do to deserve it? Right? Like that's what happened. And that's how we got, and that's how we got what we got in 2020, because a bunch of folks were like, no, they don't exist. I'm telling you, in the same way that's an issue, in the same way there needs to be better training.
Show me the law that directly impacts the African-American folk, and then I will be in the streets with you. But until you can do that, I will be sitting by myself.
In the same way that cameras on officers was a good thing, is in the same way that this exposing this stuff is a good thing. And maybe I'm just have a different paradigm because I've known people that have been working in this community for decades. I've known people that have been on the front lines of this for decades. That to minimize it, you just look stupid. You look you look just as goofy as the Steven Crowders trying to reenact the Floyd situation. Like that's how stupid you look. You know what I mean? And some of y'all think that stuff is fly, but just know you're doing the inverse of that. It's like if something is true, it's true, right? If something is true, it's true. We don't need a cabal. We don't need all this other all this other crazy stuff. You don't got to backdoor stuff. And so that's my thought on this. If you want to partner with us monthly, get access to this entire stream completely unedited, get access to our podcast before they go live, get access to a private Discord where you could interact with me, and much more, including a discount code for the shop. Partner with us for as little as $5 a month so we could stay independent, stay brand free, only answering to you, and never, ever having to make goofy commercials like these.
Our friends at Genucel Skincare have exciting news to celebrate in 2023.
Using Manscaped during my showers after workout has given me much more confidence.
And that's where Mudwater comes in.
True Classic has got your back.
All thanks to the sponsor of today's video, SayMine.com. Established Titles is your opportunity to earn the title of Laird or Lady. Subject to credit approval, rates range from 7.99% APR to 19.99% APR, included 0.50% auto pay discount.
If you don't want us to make ads with brands you don't care about, sign up for our online community for as little as $5 a month to keep us independent and ultimately answering to you as our boss. You get all sorts of benefits like daily replays of our after party streams, exclusive access to our Discord community, and early access to our podcast interviews, all starting for only $5 a month.